Welcome to TRS Live. I'm Kyle Carpenter. Man, am I excited for this one. Top 5 favorite techniques and baits for fishing smallmouth in the fall. I love smallmouth. I love fishing in the fall. This is my wheelhouse. This is gonna be awesome. Smallmouth fishing in the fall, there's 5 techniques and baits that I will always have on my boat, and I highly suggest you do too. Very high productive numbers, very high productive techniques that you can do to catch a lot of smallmouth in the fall. Smallmouth fishing in the fall is a lot like spring. Springtime, the fish come up shallow, they're up there to feed, they're up there to get ready to spawn. In the fall, they do the exact same thing. They come back up shallow from their summertime haunts and they feed up for the winter. They feed up. The best time of the fall is when them fish are done shallow and they get out to their wintering holes. And these top 5 baits are gonna cover from that shallow, early fall bite into that wintering bite for smallmouth. Number 1 is jerk baits. Jerk baits, jerk bait, jerk bait. If you're only gonna have one bait you're gonna throw all fall through the whole season of the fall weather, is a jerk bait. I like to have the 110 version of a regular size 110 and a 110 junior, and then also the 110 plus 1 and a 110 plus 1 junior. Natural colors depending on where you're at, some bright colors depending on water clarity. Jerk baiting in the fall can be a ton of fun. Long lining to just target fishing, fishing them on live scope, using your electronics to find the schools, using your electronics to watch your bait and watch how the fish react to it is just a ton of fun in the fall for smallmouth. Jerk bait, jerk bait, jerk bait. If you're gonna fish one, I highly recommend the Vision 110 from Megabass, Vision 110 Plus. There's other jerk baits out there that do just as well. The Strike K makes a great jerk bait. Berkeley's Stunna is an awesome jerk bait for the fall. The list goes on and on. It's not just a Vision 110. You don't have to spend $25 on a jerk bait to catch them in the fall. You can definitely use other style jerk baits. Again, stick to that mid-range depth and a deep diver. If you have one of each on your tied on, you're gonna have success with jerk baits in the fall. I like using a 610 rod, medium action, something with a lot of bend to it that will really take the load from them smallmouth when they're fighting. Because you catch a smallmouth in deep water, especially if you're long lining, you're in for a long ride. Them fish are gonna fight, they're gonna pull, they're gonna jump. Doesn't matter if the water is 40 degrees or 60 degrees in the fall, them fish are gonna jump. Smallmouth or smallmouth, they're gonna do smallmouth things. That jerkbait, you want a nice soft rod. I don't go over 15-pound tests on a jerkbait in the fall. Always fluorocarbon. I never use braid. I don't recommend braid. I recommend fluorocarbon. 12-pound is about that mid-range that you're gonna wanna be at. It'll help you get that bait down to the depths you want. And sometimes you have to downsize your line. Downsize that line to a 10-pound or even 8-pound at times, depending on what the fish are telling you. If you need to get your bait a little bit deeper, downsize your line a little bit and it'll help get that 110 a little bit deeper. Sometimes getting it a foot deeper goes a long ways when you're chasing smallmouth in the fall. The second thing you're always gonna find in my boat in the fall chasing smallmouth is a tube. Tube baits are very versatile. You can fish them on the bottom, you can fish them high in the water column, you can fish them slow, you can fish them fast. Smallmouth love tube baits. I got 2 of them here, Berkeley Max Scent and Get Bit Baits. Get Bit Baits is probably the #1 tube in the country right now for smallmouth. The different profiles, the different sizes, they come in a variety of colors, from white to black to green pumpkin, natural colors, off the wall colors. You can fish a variety of colors, a variety of different places. You find some rocks in a sand transition, deep water, deep wintering holes off a point or on a flat, and you're not throwing a tube, you're making a huge mistake in the fall. I don't care if you're fishing in the southern part of the country all the way up through Canada, you need to be throwing a tube bait in the fall. I fish them a just very traditional way, just open throat with a tube insert. This is the Get Bit Baits tube inserts, anywhere from 1/8 ounce up to 3/4 ounce. You always want to use the lightest you could possibly get away with. Some days the lightest you can get away with because of the wind and the depth you're fishing is 1/2 ounce. Some days it's 1/8 ounce. Another really cool product that we carry at thereelshot.com from Great Lakes Finesse is their mini Pro Tube head. This head is designed, it's for the small finesse tubes, 2 3/4, even smaller tubes. It's got a beefy hook, really cool head design. It makes the bait fall a little bit different. Great Lakes Finesse has these from 1/8 ounce all the way up to 1/2 ounce, available at therealshot.com. Check these out along with other great products. Along with the tube bait, Ultra Finesse, I'm gonna have a Ned rig. I got Sheaf's Custom Baits here. This is an awesome local manufacturer, local kid that makes these baits. He makes the finesse baits, awesome selection of colors. These baits straight catch fish. You will find this Ned rig in my boat all the time, year round. In the fall, especially, when you need to slow down and let that bait sit, there's nothing better than a Ned rig. Traditionally rigged with, this is the Ned lock from Z-Man. Again, use the lightest weight possible. This is a 1/15 head. 1/15 is probably the heaviest I go with a Ned rig, to be honest. It's very, very versatile. You just have to fish it really slow. Sheaf's Custom Baits, if you're looking for Ned rigs, check them out at therealshed.com. Crankbaits, always have a crankbait tied on in the fall chasing smallmouth. If you're in a river system, if you find some riprap bank with some deep water next to it, you're gonna find smallmouth on that riprap. No question whatsoever. Laydowns, current seams, transitions, rock transition, sand transition, all over on every natural lake, rivers. Crankbaits are very, very versatile in the fall. You can fish these slow, you can fish them shallow, you can fish them deep. DT6, DT8, DT10, all very, very versatile, really good sizes for fishing smallmouth in the fall. Natural colors, bright colors, chartreuse, fire tiger. You really can't go wrong depending on the watercolor. Match as close as you can to what you're fishing. This is a perch color. Perch is probably one of the #1 colors that I have on in the fall. Doesn't matter what body of water I'm on, doesn't matter if I'm on a river, does not matter if I'm fishing shallow or deep, rocks, anything. Perch is very, very versatile through the fall. Any sizes. These are the Rapala DT series, 6, 8, and 10. Very versatile. Check them out at therealshot.com. One thing a lot of guys overlook in the fall for smallmouth is the topwater. Topwaters catch smallmouth year round. Spring, summer, fall, winter. Always have a topwater on. I don't know how many days I went out on some inland bodies of water, northern Wisconsin, Minnesota, rivers, Door County, and saw fish busting and said, oh, I got just a thing, and I have that topwater ready. Two of my favorites topwaters in the fall, really year round, is a Sexy Dog from Strike King and the Lobina Lures Suave. These two baits, one of them is high action, fast paced, pop, 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 walk the dog action. The other one is a lot more finesse, doing the same thing, but a little slower, not as aggressive, and still getting that walking the dog action. Black or white. This is Sexy Shad, black or white. White belly. You don't have to get crazy. Keep it real simple meat and potatoes when it comes to topwaters, either a black or a white. Do not forget to have this tied on. I like throwing a topwater on a 7.2 medium light plus. That is made by Shimano. It's an X-Pride rod with braided line. It gives me the ability to make long casts, and I can keep that bait moving and stop it in an instant with braided line. The rod, when you do get one of them aggressive strikes, is gonna be able to handle that load from that smallmouth and keep the hooks buried and not having to worry about losing them fish. Sneaky, sneaky in the fall, smallmouth, topwaters, topwater. Always have a topwater. Check them out at therealshot.com. Sexy Shad, Sexy Dog from Strike King, and the Lobina Lures Suave. This one is in Black Beauty. Don't forget your topwaters in the fall when you're chasing big smallmouth. Everybody that knows me knows I love this bait, knows I love throwing an Alabama rig. Alabama rigs in the fall, year round to be honest, but mainly in the fall is my #1 go-to. It's not #1 on this list because I think other people will have a lot more success with the other top 4, but for me, this bait is super, super versatile. I fish it shallow, I fish it deep, I fish it fast, I fish it slow. Fish it 1,000 different ways, 1,000 different variations, colors, head sizes, bait sizes, everything. These are my 2 favorite Alabama rigs. We have a great selection of other Alabama rigs at the Reel Shot. The Flash Mob Jr. is probably the #1 Alabama rig in the country. Very, very popular, very durable Alabama rig. Does everything you want it to do. These are diamond baits Alabama rigs. It's about the same size as the Flash Mob Jr., It's got a little better components on it. They're a little heavier wire. You can get them in the silver blades and in gold blades. That's one option I really like. They're the only ones that I know that are doing that are offering this in silver or gold blades. There are days where that gold blade will make a world of difference. It's very, very nice packaging. The packaging packs really nice into tackle boxes. When you're not using it, you can slide it right back in there. I love the packaging that Diamond Baits come with. They have a swivel on the top of them rather than a solid head. So it eliminates a lot of line twist, a lot of the struggles that some guys have with an Alabama rig. The number one mistake people make with an Alabama rig, in my opinion, is they throw it on braided line. Braided line, to me, will limit the amount of bites that you do get with an Alabama rig. You're probably thinking you're crazy, that it's a bunch of wire and blades, but it's not so much the line itself as the no stretch. The no stretch on an Alabama rig is very hard on things. You have nothing from your reel, the tip of your rod, to the hook that's gonna give. You have to throw these baits on a big, heavy rod. If you don't, you're gonna either break the rod or you're not gonna get a good hook set. So you want something somewhere to have a little bit of stretch, a little bit of give, because when this bite is very aggressive. I had a buddy that told me the best way to describe this bite is yo-yoing a Volkswagen off an overpass and a semi hitting that Volkswagen. It is very aggressive. It's a ton of fun to fish. You need to use fluorocarbon line, in my opinion, to give you a little bit stretch. You're not gonna break as many rigs. You're not gonna straighten out hooks or clasps. You're gonna have a lot more better results with fluorocarbon when throwing an Alabama rig. To go with the Alabama rig, you gotta have good quality components that you put onto it. I really like these Berkeley Fusion heads. The Berkeley Fusion has a really nice keeper that holds the bait on really well. You don't need to use super glue. I tend to use super glue with it once in a while. If a bait would slide down a little bit after being used, I'll put a dab of super glue onto it. You wanna use the lightest head you can possibly get away with. 1/8 ounce, 3/16, 1/4 ounce. Very rarely do I go over a 1/4 ounce. There's not many places we're gonna fish around here in the northern part of the country chasing smallmouth in the fall where you're gonna be any deeper than, let's say, 40 feet. A 1/4 ounce, 3/4 ounce heads, 3/4 ounce heads on an Alabama rig is a lot of weight, and it will have no problem keeping that on the bottom, fishing that Alabama rig deep. Anything shallower than that, you can play with different size heads. You can use a 1/4 and a 3/16, 2/8 and a 1/4 to help keel the bait and help it give it a little more depth. Biggest thing in the fall, number one takeaway in the fall when fishing an Alabama rig is bigger baits. You want to go bigger when chasing smallmouth with the Alabama rig. The Alabama rig is a big giant profile coming through the water. It's a big chandelier. You want to have them baits stand out, and you want that smallmouth to have something to hone in on. And bigger baits, 3.8s all the way up to 4.8s at times. I do not go on the opposite way. I will very, very rarely, if never, once the water temperature hits 50 degrees, go anything smaller than a 3.8. 3.8 is very versatile. Colors match what you're fishing. Match your hatch. Try to match the size of the bait that you think they're eating or you know they're eating, and keep it as big as you possibly can. Natural colors. White is always a good option. I got goby here and electric shad. Electric shad, if you're gonna pick one color out of all the selection on thereelshot.com, electric shad is your most versatile color. It covers every spectrum of just about every bait fish out there. Alabama rigs in the fall, year round for that matter, are a ton of fun. Your equipment matters, line matters, and the quality rig that you use definitely will give you a better experience when fishing an Alabama rig, chasing big smallmouth in the fall. Out of all the 6-7 pound smallmouth I've caught in the fall, I would say 80% of them have been on an Alabama rig. Don't be afraid to throw it. There's a lot of controversy with it. Forget about all that. Just go fishing and have fun. Check out your Alabama rigs at thereelshot.com. If you want to catch big smallmouth in the fall, you need to throw an Alabama rig. Them are my top 5 baits. Them are the top 5 baits that I highly recommend that you give a shot. If you want to catch smallmouth in the fall, cold water, warm-ish water, all the way down to just brutally cold water, 32, 34 degree water temps. These 5 presentations and baits that I showed you are going to catch smallmouth in the fall on the Great Lakes, river systems, inland lakes. Anywhere that you can get out and fish smallmouth in the fall, I highly recommend you do it. Jerkbait, 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 jerkbait. If I could give you one thing to do, one presentation, it would be throwing a jerkbait in the fall for smallmouth. If you wanted to just choose one of them, it would be a jerkbait. A tube Ned rig, very versatile, slow, methodical, gonna catch fish. Them 2 presentations guaranteed are gonna catch fish. Crankbaits. I really like throwing a crankbait in rivers in the fall. You always have to have one tied on. For that presentation, when it comes up, you need to have it there. Natural color baits, DT6, DT8, DT10 will cover all them depths for you. Topwaters, sneaky, sneaky, topwater in the fall. Do not rule out throwing a topwater. I've had smallmouth come up out of 40 feet of water in 40-degree water and eat a topwater. The sun's shining and there's not a lot of wind. A topwater can be very, very deadly in the fall for smallmouth. Finally, the Alabama rig. I love throwing the Alabama rig. Everybody that knows me knows I love to do it. Prepare yourself to fish that rig. Good rod, good reel, 20-pound fluorocarbon. Like I said, I do not recommend braided line for multiple reasons. Good equipment, good quality components, good Alabama rigs, good baits. You're gonna have yourself a ton of fun chasing smallmouth with Alabama rigs. This top 5 is very close to my heart. I love smallmouth fishing. Smallmouth have a very special place in my heart, and I love catching big ones. These are the presentations that I use to catch them. And man, if you need any advice on how to chase these smallmouth, head over to the Reel Shot in Appleton, Wisconsin. Come in and talk to us. We will point you in the right direction for sure. Check out all the baits, everything that you've seen today at thereelshot.com. Go out there and chase some smallmouth in the fall.